Hello, my name is Brandy Gray, and I'm here to share a Yin inspired practice today. And our theme for this practice is going to be the bladder and kidney meridian lines, which represent the water element and fluidity, femininity throughout that type of energy throughout our mind, body, spirit, and how we might work with that element to feel a little less stressed, a little less tense, more fluid, more relaxed, more feminine, and more resilient. So the ability to kind of stretch and bend under pressure. So with all of that in mind, and there's so much more to unpack there, we'll go ahead and get into an easy seated position. So we'll start coming into a easy seated position, whatever that might look like for you. Make sure that you have a few blankets next to you, a few different types of bolsters for support throughout your Yin practice, because in our poses we do stay there a little longer than maybe a traditional class. So you want to make sure you're supported and available to really receive throughout this practice while you're kind of taking that time to, settle into a more relaxed state. So with all that being said, you might want to find a blanket underneath your bum if that gives you a little support. You might find your sit bones here onto the mat, tuck that tailbone forward, draw the shoulders back and down away from the ears, crown tall, tuck the chin forward parallel to the floor. Begin to tune in, relax into the mind, ease your focus, find your breath, open awareness. And just starting by allowing ourselves a moment or two to arrive. And if you find yourself unsettled, perhaps connecting to those anchor points in our bum where we feel that connection to the earth and we know we are supported, stable, centered, and grounded. And as we feel this rootedness and groundedness, we find our breath and follow this breath as we inhale and rise. And exhale, let it go. Continuing to follow your own breath here, we'll take a few more deep breaths, perhaps drawing in a little deeper through the inhale, growing a little taller through the inhale, filling up into the belly. And on the exhale, drawing out the exhale. Letting it be long and full and complete. We'll take two more. Maybe a falling out breath is inspired. One more here. Filling up into the belly, into the lungs, and let it go. Go ahead and open into the eyes. Take a look around. Maybe connect back to those sit bones. We'll bring the arms out, palms face up. Let's inhale, draw the arms up and above the head. Maybe looking up to the ceiling. Exhale, we'll bring the palms together. You can't see them here in my video, but I'm going to draw the hands down toward my heart here as I exhale. Down the center of my body. I'll do that again here. As I inhale, I'll draw the palms out and up. I'll bring the palms together above the head here, wherever they land. Palm to palm, exhale, hands to heart as we draw them down. Last one here as we inhale up. Exhale, hands to heart. And we're going to take just a moment to pause here, thumbs to sternum, sternum to thumbs. And connect to our intention for our practice today, as I had mentioned, connecting to that water element, the bladder meridian, the kidney meridians throughout the body, which are just channels or rivers of energy flowing throughout the body to bring proper optimal health and well-being, at least according to Chinese medicine theory. So kind of drawing upon that inspiration today as we connect to this element, and perhaps sitting with the thought of water and what that might represent for you, a sense of fluidity, a sense of harmony as we bend and fold with the natural rhythm and flow of life. Life feels just a little bit easier. So we tune into more of that relaxed, feminine sense of well-being and ease, less of the pursuit and more presence, more allowance, more acceptance, and just feeling into that connection to water. You might rock in the body side to side, just noting what it might be like to be water. And just as water is soft and fluid, it is also strong and powerful and transformative. So knowing that this state doesn't make us weak, but it actually builds strength and character within. And if you tend to be a more masculine or driven or energetic type of person, you may also come into alternate nostril breath, but focusing on breathing in through the left side of the nostril only, because when we connect to this left side of the nostril, it connects to the right side of the brain, which is actually that same fluid, feminine, receptive state. So sometimes I'll breathe into the left side, press into that left side to release on that right side, that masculine nostril side, for lack of a better term there. Inhale in through the left if this calls to you, and exhale through the right, releasing more of that excess activated or charged energy, and instead drawing in that more holding space energy, that letting go. We'll take one or two more here. Great. So it's a really great introduction to this practice. And now we'll kind of introduce a little more information about the bladder and kidney meridians so that we can be aware of where they flow through our body throughout our practice. Just to make sure I'm right on track here, we'll do the kidney meridian first. And the kidney meridian, you might even trace it on your own body, starts on the inside of the little toe on the foot, runs through the sole of the foot, through the arch, up through the inside of the ankle, up and through the inside of the knees, the legs, entering the torso through the tailbone, moving on the ligaments, through the ligaments of the spine, connecting internally to the bladder and the kidneys, so behind here, and then moving externally over the abdomen and the chest through the throat, ending at the tip of the tongue, okay? So that's our kidney meridian, and keeping that in our body and mind here throughout our practice. And then we'll connect to our urinary bladder, so maybe you go on the other leg. Or actually, you can start on the opposite side, but we actually start here in the urinary bladder meridian on the inside of the eye. And we come from the inside of the eye, going up the forehead, across the crown. And we're going to enter through the brain here, run down the back body parallel to the spine, similar to the Ida and Pingala. And then there's a branch that goes in through the lumbar spine and connects with both the kidneys and the bladder here. So these outer branches run all the way down the backs of both legs, and then end all the way down at the little toes. So kind of keeping that in mind as you trace through the body. Wow, okay, that's what I'm really connecting to and becoming aware of throughout this practice. And some of these postures and poses, the point of them is to kind of open throughout and relax and reduce any tension throughout those areas of the body to hopefully induce that sense of relaxation and ease, and that feminine, invite a little bit of that feminine nature throughout our life, our body, our experience, and hopefully find more relaxed and positive state. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. You might have Again, some of your supports around so that we're ready to go, but we'll start here with our hands, drawing them out and up with our breath here, just coming back into the body, bringing the breath along with our movement. Inhale up, exhale, hands to heart. Great, we'll take a little pause, pressing palm to palm, connecting again to that visualization of water, of fluidity, of resilience, of ease, of acceptance. Pressing palm to palm will help it grow. Draw the hands up, 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 and then we'll let it go, finding that sense of surrender. Let it go. Maybe wiggle into the fingers. Okay. And then we'll inhale, draw up. Exhale, palm to palm, drawing the hands to the hearts. Taking a pause here, again, connecting with that water element. Pressing palm to palm. Let that grow within us here. And with that intention, we still know that we let it go. Take that time to let our pursuits rest and be at ease. Okay. Great, so last one here, we're gonna inhale up, just warming up throughout the body. Let's exhale, bring our left palm down to the mat on our side and rock over here to that left side, taking a nice side bend in the right side of the body. Just opening here into the ribs, warming up into the body before we begin. Inhale back up, exhale over either side, running short on space here. It will press the opposite hand into the floor. Draw our arm up and over here. Take a pause, take a breath. Okay. Inhale back up, exhale down. Great. I'm going to position the camera just a little differently, so I'll be right back. So hopefully you can see more of a full body view here. We're going to come into a half butterfly pose. So we'll draw one heel into this right inner thigh. So connecting again to that inner thigh region, which we know is the kidney meridian. Okay, so that's where we're kind of focusing at this time. And again, find whatever approach feels best for you. You might bring a blanket underneath the bum. You might roll it up and bring it up underneath here, underneath your knee, or underneath, again, your bum. You might bring your blocks or your bolster in front of you so you have them available because you want to be able to relax once we get positioned here. Okay, so we're all ready to go. Let's go ahead, inhale up. Great. And exhale, we'll come into a twist here over toward that bent knee, knowing as we come into this twist, kind of connecting to where we feel that tug and pull and that twist right along the region of where we might find the bladder and kidney meridian. Coming in and drawing a breath as we come up tall through the spine. Knowing that either side of the spine we have our bladder meridian. And on the exhale, we're going to draw forward and find ourselves in a forward fold. You might come forward in a bolster or a block, and we'll be here for a few minutes. So go ahead and get comfortable. Find what works for you. Allow yourself to draw forward. Maybe belly button draws toward the spine to give you a little more room to relax into the forehead. Relax into the head, into the neck. Finding that sense of relaxation and ease and softness throughout the body. Continuing to follow your breath here. Staying connected to those anchor points to the earth where you feel connected and stable and at ease. Soften until you slip through the constraints like water, creating a new rhythm, a new release, a new pathway, a new possibility. Noting the urinary bladder along either side of the spine and the kidney meridian along the inner legs and throughout the torso. And keep breathing as each breath draws you further and deeper into yourself. And if you need to adjust, go ahead and adjust and come back to position, allowing yourself to relax and unwind. If there's anywhere you might be holding or resisting, allow yourself to relax, to soften, to let go. And preparing to come up and out here in just a moment. And stay with your breath here, 1 or 2 last breaths. And on your next inhale, go ahead and draw your hands back toward yourself. Inhale, draw up, bring the head away from the block. You might want to keep that there because we're going to do the other side here. Great. So go ahead and switch sides. Bring the opposite leg out long, perhaps maybe even a bolster under the knee if that would help support you as you stay in your forward fold. It can be uncomfortable for some to stay there. You can bring your opposite heel into that inner thigh, again connecting to that kidney meridian line. I keep mixing them up here, but that kidney meridian line here down the inner side of the thighs. You might have that knee supported as well if you need it. And you know, if you need a block here in front of you, of course, you can always bring your block back. We'll go ahead and bring the arms out. Inhale, draw the arms up. Hands come together. On the exhale, we'll twist toward that knee that's out and available for us. Finding the floor here, drawing up through an inhale. Exhale, we'll draw that heart either out to the side or back toward the back of the room. We'll pause and take a rest. Find our breath. Staying here in each position just a little longer than maybe we normally would here in our yin practice, just letting things soften and relax into this twist, taking that extra time. There is something to inviting that natural pressure and resistance without our resistance to it. As they say, a diamond is just a coal who did well under pressure, right? So we take that time to polish throughout the body and find our breath, stay connected. And on your next exhale, we're going to release forward. Again, you'll find your block. Maybe you have a bolster that's a little more comfortable if you'd like. And we'll begin to draw forward, allowing our head and neck to relax onto the block. We'll stay in this forward fold again for another minute or minute and a half. Again, feeling into that opening on either side of the spine, into the lumbar back area, the sacral lumbar area. Seeing if we can feel an openness, a spaciousness into this area, into the inner thighs. Allowing this relaxation and ease to bring that energy through these bladder and meridian channels freely. These meridians are also connected to the emotion of fear. So when we hold on tight and we grip and control or have anxiety, those are all aspects of our fear, of our rigidity or our control or need to hold. When we release and allow energy to flow freely, life force flows freely through us, through our experience. And when we can follow this natural flow, we find ourselves more naturally at ease, naturally allowing, naturally generous, naturally kind. And that's that giving, forgiving, feminine nature that resides in all of us, all of us and each of us, regardless of whether we're male or female. All we have to do is tune into it, and there it is. Preparing to come up here in just a few breaths. next inhale, use your body weight, press into the floor, slowly come up. Maybe one vertebrae at a time if that resonates with you. Kind of taking it slow. I'm noticing my tempo come from up just a little bit lower into a more relaxed and at ease state. I hope you are joining me in that feeling. We'll now come into a full wide leg fold, which for our yin practice is called Dragonfly. So you'll go ahead and bring your legs out wide. If you have 2 blankets, you can kind of bring them underneath the knees if that calls to you. I like to grab my big bolster for this one to come into a forward fold, but honor yourself here. You might bring a little blanket fold underneath the bum if that calls to you as well. So just check in, take that time. We'll inhale, draw the arms out and up. Exhale here. Let's bring the left hand down to the next to us here so we can come into a side bend. Just awaken our body a little bit. Inhale up. Exhale over, other side. We'll do another side bend. Pressing into the floor on that opposite side, bending into the elbow, allowing ourselves to come in. Open, great. Inhale back up, great. We'll grab that bolster, whatever you need in front of you to relax forward, and we'll find ourselves relaxing all the way, finding our head resting. Maybe we find our cheek on this one. Seeing if we can sink or melt into this pose. Breathe into that sinking. Allowing your shoulders to relax, opening into the back body, into either side of the spine, where we find that bladder meridian, opening into the inner thighs, where we find that kidney meridian. Releasing that tension, anxiety, letting it all go. If you're on one side of your cheek, maybe turning your head the opposite way and finding yourself relaxed back in position. Just a few more breaths here until we come out of position. And beginning to slowly come up from your dragonfly pose, your wide leg stance, allowing yourselves to wake up. Take a big deep breath. Great. We're going to come into our next pose here. Really easy transition. We're just going to bring both feet long here in front of us for our caterpillar pose or our Paschimottanasana. So again, you might find a blanket underneath the bum if that allows you a little bit of extra support if you need it. This is great for the back of the legs, which is our bladder meridian lines, and then up through the spine, again, coming back to that bladder meridian. So just consciously coming back to that element of water, of the path of least resistance, okay? So let's get comfortable, because that's the path of least resistance, at least for me. Well, maybe a little bit of discomfort, but a way of easing into that discomfort, okay? So that's kind of the idea here. Again, you might find something underneath the bum, and then you might bring a block forward or a big bolster for your next forward fold. Let's go ahead and bring the arms out. Let's bring the breath along with the body here as we begin. I might bring something underneath my knees because that feels a little more supportive for me in this pose. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, which invites you to go ahead and do that if that's calling to you. Give yourself some support. We'll bring the arms out. Inhale, draw the hands up. You can't see the hands, but you know they're there. We'll go ahead and connect the hands, palm to palm. Feel them connect, feel them touch. Come back to center. Relax the hands down. Come back to the breath. We'll inhale, draw up. Ah, great. Bring the hands together. Exhale, draw the hands down to the heart. Centering, grounding. 2 more. Inhale up, keeping the breath along with the body. Everything's connected. Exhale, relax the hands down. And last one here. We're going to inhale up. And this time, instead of the hands connecting, we're going to fold forward, hinging at the hips. We can draw our hands forward and down. You can relax either, you bring the hands to like a fire log position, allow your head and neck to rest here. You might bring your bolster. We talked about all the different ways you can support yourself. So just find something that calls to you, that feels good for you and for your body, to where you can stay connected here for several breaths, okay? So we'll drill down, forward, relax the head and the neck. Letting the natural pull of gravity draw you down further toward the floor with each breath, relaxing any energy down. And the meridian lines, the water element, connecting to our emotions, watery emotions, in the sense that they ebb and flow and rise and fall. And there's this natural rhythm, rise and fall of our emotions, that we learn to kind of accept and follow and be present with, versus resist or force or manipulate, because we realize that that doesn't work. So instead, we learn to practice or cultivate this sense of acceptance, of resilience, of trusting the process, and of trusting the natural flow and rhythm of your own life. Let yourself be heavy and rested for these next few breaths here in this position. Let yourself let go. Allowing that natural pull of gravity to shape you, refine you. And whenever you're ready, you can begin to inhale, drawing yourself back up. Waking up, let's take a counter pose here. It feels good to kind of open into the front body. We've gotten a lot into the lower back, which is great on either side of the spine. But let's not forget that the bladder meridian also runs up to the chest, the abdomen, and the throat. So let's go ahead, the kidney meridian. So let's go ahead and press our fingertips into the floor, draw the shoulders back, open and lift the heart and the chest, maybe lifting the chin, drawing the gaze up, and finding some open spaciousness in the front of the body. We'll stay here for a breath as we inhale Draw in, open, lift, expand. Exhale, we can soften and relax that hold. Maybe do a little wiggle. And then we're going to find ourselves on our hands and knees. So shifting position here, shifting perspective. The water element is very good at that. We won't stay fixed or stagnant. We're certainly going to move around and shake things up, right? And then see what happens. Woohoo, what a fun experiment. I know I have lots of fun. We'll go ahead and find our hands underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips, pressing into the earth. Let's just unwind here, release any tension we may have built up or any tension we came to class with here today. So let's go ahead. We'll lead with the tailbone since we're kind of focused on the lower half of the body. So bringing our attention and focus first into the pelvis, into that watery element, into the sacral chakra, our emotions. Ooh, and just finding some movement that feels like a release. Following really not my motion, but maybe whatever draws and pulls into your own body. Maybe relaxing the head and the neck as you let your lower half unwind and find some wiggles, some space. Find your breath. If you need to take a moment onto your forearms, you can do that too. And then we might begin to take a few cat and cows, rounding through the spine. Inhale, open and lift through the chest. Heart draws up. And this is kind of both meridian lines here, opening. Great. Finding your own rhythm and flow here in your cat-cow motions. And really just, again, find this opportunity to go with your own flow, your own rhythm. The whole idea here is finding that watery, fluid element within our own body or in our own system, finding whatever emotion that we're in and allowing it to be a part of our experience without our need to change that. Great. And once you feel nice and unwound and relaxed and feel like you've released some pressure into the lower part of the body, we're going to come into a modified child's pose. So that's our next position here in our yin class. We're going to modify it by opening into the wide stance, so coming back into that inner thigh stretch. And then we're going to see if we might press those hips back toward the heels. You might find your hands stacked. You might find a blanket if you need it. We'll stay here again for a minute or a minute and a half. See if I can come in the perspective a little better. And again, see if you can relax into this position. Find that sense of ease in your position. Relax into the body. Let yourself melt toward the floor. Noting the opening in the lower back, into the pelvic floor, inner thighs. The elongating into the back on either side of the spine, so we're really connecting to both meridians here. Coming back to your breath. Your breath is your tool to help you find that place of relaxation and ease within the body. Melting the heart toward the floor. We'll stay here for a while. Allow yourself to let go. Maybe changing sides if you're resting on your cheek. If you need to adjust at any time, feel free to honor yourself and your body so that you can allow yourself to sink and Be here for 2 more breaths. Whenever you're ready, begin to transition yourself, drawing either hand to either side, pressing into the earth, drawing yourself up, lifting the hips off of the mat. We'll bring your blanket out of the way if you have one. We're going to stretch here to the hip flexors, so we're going to bring our hands forward, bend into our elbows, and let ourselves come down toward the floor here. So lengthening into the legs, we're going to come into a Sphinx, into our next position. The Sphinx is great for finding a little bit of compression here in the back and the lumbar area. So we're getting into both of those meridians, and then opening into the front body. So we're getting into the kidney meridian. So go ahead and find what will help you be comfortable in your Sphinx pose. I'm going to grab my bolster, because I'm going to bring my bolster underneath my ribs, which just helps me stay propped up a little longer than maybe I normally would be able to. And then I might even bring a block too, so I can come forward. Great. So maybe pressing the elbows into the floor, but you kind of want them under your shoulders in a normal situation. Here, because I have this bolster here, which is a little more comfortable, it does make it a little more awkward, but ideally we're just allowing ourselves to come in the position and then stay in that position to the best of our ability. So some might be able to just stay and breathe into their Sphinx posture. I'm going to let my head come forward and begin to allow myself to relax. Let my back body open. Let my pelvic floor open and blossom as I relax my body and let it unwind and ground. Releasing any hold, any tension, at least to the extent to where you can allow this resistance to refine you and to shape you. To soften. And to find that natural flexibility and ease of spirit. As we learn to bend and flow with the natural flow of life. We find that we cultivate a strength of character within that can't be taken from us, because our resilience allows us to be fully present to our experience as it is, which is true freedom. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and press into the floor, lift your head off your block. You can keep your bolster there if that's comfortable for you, but it's available to press in your elbows underneath your shoulders. Open, lift the heart and the chest, open the throat, bring the gaze up, press your hips and your feet into the floor to find yourself lifted, finding length in the front of the body. Big open here. And exhale, let it go. So that's great there for the kidney meridian as well. Whenever you're ready, we'll move on to the next position, which is going to be half frog pose. So we're going to bring our bolster out of our way. You might have a blanket next to you. Come all the way down onto the belly. And here we're going to bring up our leg, where the inside of the leg is relaxed on the floor or on a blanket, and our face is down on our hands, maybe on a blanket. But again, we're opening into that inner thigh here on this right side, into the groin, into the pelvic floor, and then finding that sense of ease throughout the rest of the body really allows us to come into our natural feminine state of relaxation. So go ahead and see if you can find your way there, breath by breath. Noting any tugs or pulls and seeing if you can breathe into that space to find spaciousness within that pull, within that tug. Where presence meets presence. Noticing anywhere in the body you might be holding tension. And in the areas where there is necessary tension, those are the areas we're not focusing on. But the other areas where you don't really need tension in your jaw, for example, or in your shoulders, for example, or in the crown of your head, for example. So go ahead and let that tension relax. Find ease. Maybe bringing to heart and mind that imagery of water moving throughout the body and cleansing and refreshing and renewing our spirits, our organs, our connective tissues, revitalizing our being, bringing new opportunities, new potentials. And new levels of consciousness. Whenever you're ready, you can begin to open up the eyes, maybe lift the head, take in your space here. We'll bring our left leg now down. We'll switch sides, so we'll come onto our belly. We'll take the half frog on the other side. So you might shift a little bit, bring your blanket on the other side if you need to. I'm working with little space here for the camera position and whatnot, but you won't need to have to worry about all that. Good for you. So go ahead and find yourself flat to the floor. Find your whatever you need, your blanket, your support, so you can rest your head. We'll bring now our opposite knee up, bending into the knee and opening into that thigh so that the leg is resting on the inside of the leg onto the earth or onto the blanket. Then you might find your head relaxed, finding a position where you can begin to soften and find a sense of ease. We're allowing this natural pull of gravity to pull into that stretch, deepening into the stretch, allowing that deepening, allowing that refinement, taking that opportunity to find that sense of flexibility within the resistance, within the pressure. We'll find our breath here. Stay connected, stay anchored. Taking just a few last deep breaths here in position. Maybe you notice that inner thigh is nice and warm, as now it's been opened, new energy, new life, new possibility. What a gift. Whenever you're ready, use your own body here, your arms, your weight to lift your head here, press into the floor. We'll bring that opposite knee in toward the body, legs long, and then we'll turn all the way over to our backs. Okay. For this last position, we're going to come into a supine butterfly. You might bring something under your head. You can have a little support under the bum if you need it. I highly recommend having some blocks on either side of the knee because we will be opening the knees wide again. So again, this position is supporting both meridian lines, bladder and kidney, the ones we're working on today, both that are connected to that water element, our emotions, our feminine principle, our feminine nature. So see if you can come down. I was able to do that with my legs open. You might not be able to do that. Maybe you just bring your legs, your knees open once you get there. Again, finding those blocks for support under the knees. I know it's hard to see here. Go ahead and bringing those underneath. Let's see if you can find a comfortable spot. You might even bring a bolster all the way down toward your sacrum here so you can have a heart opener so we can get into a little bit of everything now. So we have the support underneath the knees, we have the bolster under the heart, or under the back. So really focus here. Let yourself let go, have the palms open, maybe draw the chin up a little bit because we're coming in now to the kidney meridian, which is in the front of the body, up through the throat, into the tongue. We're also coming into the bladder meridian on either side of the spine, similar to the Ida and Pingala, okay? We're also coming into the kidney meridian lines again here on the inner thighs. And why does it matter? Why does it matter about our water element and what that might look like? Because again, noting that sense of resistance, anxiety, tension, or fear that's in the body, that keeps us in a state of resistance. It keeps us in a state of being on guard, disconnected. But when we free these channels, when we allow ourselves to be more open, more willing, more receptive, we begin to notice that we receive. When we're receptive, we receive. Life begins to move through us with ease, and we notice that we're more relaxed. more at peace. Continuing to follow your breath, move around if you need to. Focus on those points of connection to the earth. Let yourself rest and be relaxed. As we learn to bend and lean into healthy pressure, we allow it to refine us into elevated states of being and becoming. And this is how we evolve, by our allowance. Our open, present awareness. And we don't fight the weight of gravity anymore, and we don't fight the emotions that arise. We just learn to be with them. We just learn to move with life, because life doesn't get easier or better, but we do. We were given the gift of resilience. Just a few more breaths here in our position. Whenever you're ready, we'll bring both knees in so you can bring the blocks out of the way if it really matters. We're just going to go ahead and come into our final position, which we all know as Savasana. So you can go ahead and leave that bolster underneath here, drawing it down toward the sacrum so that you can have that open heart connecting to that kidney meridian still. But now we're at a place of ease, so we don't really have to stay with anything except for where we are, whatever that is. So go ahead and find yourself relaxed, find your legs long, let your feet splay open to give yourself that sense of ease and relaxation here in this position. So we're not holding on to anything, we're letting go. We find our hands connected to the earth, face open toward the sky, or palm face down on the belly. We can bring our gaze up. I invite you to bring your gaze up, relax into the eyes or close them. And again, finding that sense of open, present awareness. Allowing our breath to keep us anchored in that space. Instead of pursuit, we just hold space for whatever happens. and part of healing and finding inner freedom is learning to hold space for ourselves, for our experiences, for our emotions, for others, for their experience, for their emotions. And holding space means just allowing ourselves to be as we are, others to be as they are, and life to be as it is. If you feel any fear or tension in the body, any unease, perhaps you may soften it with your own presence, your own affection, your own ease. As we learn to connect to and find this place of inner comfort, we realize we can rest within ourselves, become our own refuge, our own place of peace that was here all along. Holding on just steals our joy. So we let it go. And we trust in the process. Beginning to invite a sense of awakeness and aliveness back into the body. Maybe wiggling into the fingers and the toes. Maybe coming onto one side of our body, if you'd like. Seeing how you feel in your state of relaxation and ease. Having allowed yourself that time to rest, to sit with the natural ebb and flow of life. And whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and press yourself up into an easy seated position as I read an inspiration to close our class today. When we hold on tight and when we can't let go of control, or when we fear the future or are resisting life's natural movement, we become rigid and filled with tension or anxiety, physically in the body as well as mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It is only when we find acceptance in each moment that life flows to us and through us freely. We make room for transformation and higher possibilities beyond what we already know or can imagine when we become non-resistant and open to life, free-flowing to the natural rhythm of our destiny. We are asked only to let go and to surrender to the mystery of what is possible. With that, I thank you all so much for being here today to share this practice with me, to connect to the water element within you, to release any bit of tension, fear, anxiety that we did get the opportunity to release today, to find that sense of inner peace and freedom, and to share that with each other. Thank you for allowing me into your practice. Namaste.